What's up, Reapers? Welcome back to the Crypt. Grim Reviews here, and I want to do a video on my favorite death metal bands. Some of this will be like more melodic death metal, or like brutal death slash slam, and one could be considered death grind. But this is also in no particular order. First up, first one that came to mind, the band that got me into the genre, Cannibal Corpse. I remember when I first heard Tomb of the Mutilated, and it was in the middle of the pandemic. I was exploring extreme music, and I just couldn't get enough of Chris Barnes' lows, and I thought it was like the heaviest shit I had ever heard. And I find that the riffs, even though some of them are very sameish, don't get old. I find both eras, both singers, are fantastic. My favorite Cannibal Corpse album will always be this one. Well, my two favorites, depending on the day, will always be Wretched Spawn or Visceration Plague, but Visceration Plague is just slightly above Wretched Spawn. I mean, there's really no bad albums. I just find some of them aren't as strong as others. Next up, we got Dying Fetus. Dying Fetus was much more of a technical, brutal death metal band, and when I heard Grotesque Impalement for the first time, it scared the hell out of me. Sorry. And I remember hearing Wrong One to Fuck With in school and thinking, holy hell, this is scary. But then I heard my favorite album from them, easily my favorite, and I have it somewhere. Yeah, here. Descend into Depravity, and I remember just thinking, holy hell, what did I just listen to? And I mean, this has been on repeat since I saw them live this year. Every time I'm in that death metal mood, or I just want to listen to a favorite album, this is an album I just go for, and I will just listen to it relentlessly. Next up, Aborted. Easily up there. Retro Gore was my introduction to these guys, and it's still my favorite album from them. But to me, they've had no bad albums. There are no weak albums, and if you say that, I suggest re-listening to them because they do grow on you. I will say that. I got to see them opening for Lorna Shore and Ingested last year. Or I got to see them opening for Lorna Shore with Ingested, excuse me, and Angel Maker. And I was hyped. And I was so pissed at myself that I didn't get a shirt because I never thought I would see them again. I did, however, get myself this sick poster. Yeah, I can't really move it. I don't have enough room right now to move it, but you get it. You get the gist of it. And I really wanted the shirt with that design on it, and I was so pissed I didn't get it. But then I actually got to see them again on Chaos and Carnage. I ended up getting a shirt, and I was gonna keep this guy in his plastic, but it fell out. I got this little figurine of the guy from Mania Cult. I ended up getting a thing that says Blast Beach right up there. Just one of the little styrofoam hands. Because, yes, I love myself some Blast Beats. But there's just so much I don't even know. Like, again, the same thing as I said for Dying Fetus. This is an album that if I'm in the mood for just a favorite album, and I have a lot of favorite albums. No, Filth Pig by Ministry. Well, basically Filth Pig and that era where it was Filth Pig, Dark Side of the Spoon, and Animosity, I believe. That era is just my favorite Ministry era. I did ask Killbot what his favorite era / album was, and it was that. And at first I was like, okay, that's not what I expected, because for a while, yeah. But we're not gonna get into that whole thing. Next up, we have Arch Enemy. This was my first melodic death metal band I ever got into. When I found Aborted and Cannibal Corpse, I found Arch Enemy and Amon Amarth through J-Hoff Films. I was just kind of listening to what bands were on his vest and all that. And when I saw when I heard Arch Enemy, I had to go like, okay, I want to know what they're about, and I just fell in love with War Eternal, the earlier albums, and Doomsday Machine will probably be my favorite. Well, Doomsday Machine and War Eternal are probably my two favorite albums from them, just period. But it's also how I found my other favorite death metal band, Aeon. I find that their riffs actually, and I'd be really I guess I was wrong. Okay. I think this album's hype sticker says it best about them. Aeon's musicianship is among the best in death metal, but their songwriting is what truly sets them apart. It's rare to find a death metal band that is simultaneously crushingly brutal and infectiously catchy. Alex fucking Webster, a fucking Cannibal fucking Corpse. When I read that, I immediately agreed. I'd seen Cannibal Corpse the day before I ordered this, along with Skullful Domain. Next up, Suffocation. Suffocation, to me, have never had a bad album, and if you say they have, fuck you, they haven't. They were a proto-deathcore band, proto-slam. They pushed the limits of technical precision. Sorry, the precision of being technical, brutal, and overall good musicians. They knew how to make a comeback, and when Souls to Deny came out, it came out stronger than ever. Next up, Obituary. Obituary grew on me. I used to think they were this overhyped band, and for a while, Slowly We Rot was the only album I cared for, and I just kind of got Cause of Death as a joke because I was like, oh, they're, it was weird. Because I was like, oh, it's essential. But goddamn it, I listened to it again, and I was almost, I don't even know how to describe it. I almost started a mosh pit in the parking lot of my job. Because that's where I tend to work out, is out in the parking lot. And Cause of Death is probably now my favorite album from them. And, opinions can change, people. We got a couple more, and then I'm gonna let you guys tell me what are your favorite death metal bands, or what's your all-time favorite death metal band. I can't truly say I choose one over the other. However, Nile has such a solid discography, including At the Gate of Sethu. If you say Nile's catalog is just boring, monotonous, you're, for one, you're boring as fuck. Because every time I listen to In Their Darkened Shrines, I just feel like a slayer of the gods, which is what Uno is. I find Nile has this certain style about them that is so goddamn good. So good that it feels fresh, and it doesn't. I almost feel like I'm listening to new albums from them every time. And I know I've been stuttering like a fucking idiot, but I mean, Ithophalic. I think Ithophalic and To Whom the Gods Detest, depending on the day, are probably my favorite album. And In Their Darkened Shrines is that very close, like, second. Annihilation of the Wicked. I mean, my favorite ending, or one of my favorite endings, is As he creates, so he destroys. And yeah. Revocation. When I first heard Revocation, I was iffy about them. I was like, it felt like necrophagus syndrome had hit them harder in the balls than anything. Um, and it, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, for me, it is hard to fuck off. I don't know. Ah, sorry about that. Um, I didn't like the vocals didn't do much for me, and I was like, eh. But when I heard them live opening for Cannibal Corpse with Shadow of Intent and Whitechapel, I was hooked. I ended up getting a shirt. I actually have more. I actually have quite a bit of their stuff. Um, and finally, I'm gonna end off with a band that I never thought I would get into. Immolation. The only Immolation album I currently have is 2017's Atonement. And for a while, I just didn't get the hype. I was like, this just doesn't do anything for me. But then I listened to it again and I was just like, oh my god. Oh my god. And I remember listening to Dawn of Possession later and I was just so happy to hear something that didn't sound same-ish after a while. And again, this is not to say that other death metal bands aren't good or that these are the only bands I will listen to. I obviously listen to a lot of shit. An honorable mention I want to give out would be Insomnium, as they've really grown on me ever since I saw them live. With Black Anvil, wearing the hoodie and shirt I got there. And I guess one other one to throw out there, not an honorable mention, but Devourment. When I saw them live, within just a few weeks ago, it made me cry. It made me want to puke from the absolute nauseating riffs. Just like when I first heard them, I heard Butcher the Week, and while I say that's an overrated album, and my favorite of their discography is Conceived in Sewage, Butcher the Week is one of my favorite brutal death metal uh, albums, period. And I know a lot of people will be like, well, how does that work? Listen, it is considered a classic. It is so goddamn good. And yes, I will always love Conceived in Sewage, but goddamn, I can't get enough of Butcher the Week. Um, that album is just, ugh. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing. As always, keep it grim.